It was probably the strangest thing I've ever dealt with as a principal.
We've never closed school like this before. We just didn't really know what to do.
This is the first year in my career where I had staff who left in the middle of the year. And I'm not the only school that's happening to.
We had just a completely normal spring. The week before spring break, we took our kids bowling, had the best time. They were so good. They were so excited. We left for spring break, and then that weekend is when there were cases that were developing in the United States, and then it was just kind of like a wildfire.
It happened so quickly, and we started hearing rumors about schools closing.
We were one of the first districts to close before the initial shutdown.
It was just so strange to come to an empty school. And really sad. A building that was usually full with so much commotion and excitement and was just empty.
To pull into a parking lot where you're used to seeing hundreds of cars and to walk in this school and there's nobody here, it was really, really hard.
As the weeks progressed and we realized that this was bigger, as a leader, if you're a good leader, you need to know that you're gonna have to learn new things. You can give somebody a computer, but if they don't have the infrastructure or the internet in their home, then how do they still get on?
We're trying to keep schools going. Schools are obviously social places. There's nobody here. What can we do to help our students? Help families? What can we do to help our staff? And then things kept changing so quickly. You know, as soon as we get something in place, then things would change.
I was trying to figure out how a way to keep my staff connected and then keep all of this whole school connected. And so that first week, I went on Facebook and just did like a little check-in video. And so from here on out, I did a weekly video where I kind of told, like, I tried to have something fun. Like, we did a big teacher appreciation video where I sent emails out to families asking them to send me videos of their kids so we could do something special and just try to keep everyone engaged in that way.
Our school was a pickup spot where families from across the district could come and pick up food. So we still provided that for students, you know, for families. We knew that basic need of food was necessary, but our cafeteria staff worked together, got on buses, you know, to take food out to our neighborhoods and help service our families. And I think that was absolutely necessary to try to keep our kids as engaged as possible.
So we ended the school year, our whole cafeteria was housed with bags of student belongings. And so we had some pickup times. And so on the last day of school, we kind of did a drive-by parade. So all of our staff was out on the parking lot and they could wave. And a lot of kids made posters and teachers would go up to their vehicles and they would take a picture. For me, it was like the whole year wrapped up. I could not help but get emotional. It just made my heart so happy to see all of my people out there at once. And just what a blessing that was and how much I had taken things for granted. Like how much we took all the little things for granted. So when summer happened, we met about weekly. Our admin team met, but at the same time we couldn't really plan because the minute we would plan something and then something would change. And so we were just kind of waiting for the state board to kind of tell what exactly we could do, what we were going to be allowed to do. We finally decided we would go a hybrid model, so we were going to be A days, B days, and so that was a nightmare, you know, trying to get that out to families on who was an A day, who was a B day.
Every grade level has 2 lunches, again, so they could be able to spread out. They took turns on how they ate so that masks wouldn't be off at the same time while they're eating. Breakfast is in the classroom, they're 3 feet apart, just school looks different for them.
We had the changing in guidelines in terms of if you get sick, if someone in your family gets sick, you got to go home. I mean, it just really impacted our staff more than I think we ever would, just with the guidelines we had to follow. I think some of them didn't agree, but I think they understood that we're not making these rules up just because we want to do it. It's trying to keep everybody as safe as we possibly can.
My teachers were kind of at their breaking point because they were trying to figure out how to be a remote teacher and how to be an in-person learning teacher all at the same time. So they felt like their workload was doubled. I mean, there were just so many ups and downs throughout the year. However, I had was telling my people, like, we had no behavior. Like, there were no behavior problems at all. Kids were only here half a day. They were pretty far apart. And I had told my staff, like, get ready. Like, this is great. We're all going to be together. We're going to have full days. We're not going to have the problems that we had last year. But I didn't really expect it to be as bad as it was when we started the year this year.
We had a really tough fall. We had more fights in a semester than we've had sometimes in total than we've had 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, we don't have a lot of physical fights here at school. We had a lot in the fall. I knew that we would have challenges open our school in the fall. I had no idea it would come out that way.
This is a hard year for teachers, anywhere, I would say. Then we have students who, again, were out for a year and a half. They were 4th graders, and now they're in a middle school and did not have the social skills to be able to maneuver that as easily as if it would have been a different year. And all of that, I think, adds to teachers' plates because they're not only teaching the curriculum, they're teaching students how to behave, how to act, how to socialize.
Then the governor sent the executive order saying that masks were required, so that put a lot of people up in an uproar. This is something that I have no control over at all. I'm just trying to do what we have to do.
I think naturally as men, we don't always show emotion. But yeah, there were times when it was like, man, I don't know if I can do this for 6 more years, for 7 more years, But I think being in a district like this has helped. Support of my family has helped a lot. And not afraid to show emotion. Because it has been pretty tough at times.
I think a principal plays a big role on a leader of hope. Because if you're walking around thinking it's the end of the world and complaining about everything, then people are going to take your lead. You are a leader of that place. Not saying that you're not experiencing what's going on in the world, but you should be thinking things can get better. Or if things are not good, how do you make them better? And giving people hope that things will somehow, if we work together, could become better. Also letting parents know there is hope for your kid. Like, no matter what they've done, no matter where they're at now, we're still trying to figure out how to help them to do better. And I think that should be the message in anything we do, and not let our circumstances be what dictate how we act or behave in front of people.
My staff works very hard for me. I think they would really do anything I ask them to do. And it's not because of me, but it's because they feel appreciated and they know that they're respected by me and that I have their back. And so it's reciprocal. You don't have to do giant grand gestures to make people know that they appreciate you, but just small little things like attention to details matter.
It's super critical that people see hope through you as a principal, I think. Because when I walk out of here, from my office assistant to a student to a hall monitor, they expect me to have all the answers. And I tell them right away, either I know it or I don't know it. And I'll get the answer if I don't. But we have to continue to model positivity, as hard as it can be sometimes, right? We have to continue to provide hope that we're going to get through this.
I think leaders of hope are people who believe in other people, who empower them, who build them up, support other people when things are not going the best, or even when things are great, celebrating them. I did have some great administrators who saw something different in me and believed in me. Had it not been for them, because I think for a while I was happy with my job. I was happy with what I was going to do. I love seeing my kids. It was other leaders of hope that, Sonia, you can do this for other people. And I hope that I can do that for my assistant principals, for my teachers, for my students, where we're thinking of how do we support you where you are and where you want to be.